I don't suppose this is what Charlie Brown had in mind with his famous quote, "Good grief," but my recent exposure to shared death experiences struck me as knowledge that could cut the grief you feel for a loved one's passing in half. Let me explain. While I've long been fascinated with near-death experiences, I had never heard of shared death experiences. SDEs, as they're called, are when a living person experiences aspects of a dying person's crossing from this world to the next. I learned all about them from William J. Peters' book, At Heaven's Door, what shared journeys to the afterlife teach us about dying well and living better. The Caritas Consciousness Project, found at caritascenter.org, is a favorite organization of mine that supports raising consciousness spiritually in various ways. Caritas hosted an event featuring William Peters this very night, and I got to hear from him firsthand how his passion for and excitement over researching and educating people on shared crossings is evolving. Whereas near-death experiences, or NDEs, are profound experiences of the afterlife when someone almost or temporarily dies, shared death experiences are experienced when loved ones or caregivers of a dying person. SDEs can be at the bedside or at a remote location, and they can happen before, during, or after the actual passing. Each SDE is unique, but may share common characteristics. Those attributes may include visions of the dying person, journeying alongside them, seeing deceased loved ones or angelic beings, a tunnel or vortex, a radiant light, attending a life review, seeing heavenly realms, and having feelings of euphoric peace and love. In fact, the traits are almost identical to NDEs, it's just that they accompany the dying experience of someone else. On the sharedcrossing.com website, there's a whole library of SDE videos. The overwhelming consensus of those sharing in a transition in some way is the indisputable knowing that their loved ones are not dead, their soul does live on, and is joyous, vital, safe, and happy, that the existence after this is benevolent, painless, and loving. And these people, in general, no longer fear death. Although I've had a blessed life in many, many ways, grief has been my biggest source of suffering. I've related my over-the-top reaction to death starting back from childhood, whether it was a distant relative or a horse in a story. When my mom died, I grieved for 15 years with the pain as fresh as the day she died, until that grief finally launched me onto my spiritual journey, where I discovered tools and understandings to accept and even appreciate death. If I had known then what I know now, I would have cut my grief by way more than half. I was grieving for Mom no longer able to experience life on earth, and for me missing her. But if I had known that she was exuberantly happy, free of any pain or suffering or constriction, and felt treasured, super healthy, and bathed in love, I'd only have had to feel sorry for myself. As it turns out, as I read the appendix to At Heaven's Door, I had an SDE when my mom died. After she took her last breath, I saw her spirit as a silvery white, grayish, gossamer substance rise up out of her and up to the ceiling where it kind of spread out. I looked up there at her soul and said, "Bye, Mom," with a smile on my face, and then her filmy self dissipated. We in the West have somehow lost our way when it comes to death. The biggest disappointment of those having SDEs is that they can't widely share their life-changing shift with very many people. because we in the Western cultures are largely afraid of and uncomfortable with death and treat it as a taboo subject. Thankfully, with the mass spiritual awakening happening, and as more people have these transcendent experiences, we are enjoying an increasingly mature view of death. It is as natural as birth, and it's a beautiful thing. Embracing the wonder of death is an integral part of our mission to shine that divine.